and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Einstein. Thank you all for joining me again this evening as we go through and we do today's daily reading from James Allen's Daily Meditations. Of course, this will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning that you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. As this will be the first time that I hear it or read it right here on this podcast with y'all. And October's been a fantastic month. I hope y'all have been following along and you've enjoyed it all as well as much as I have, I guess. And I'm looking forward to see where today brings us. So let's get right into it. Here is October 5th's reading from James Allen's Daily Meditations. Pain, grief, sorrow, and misery are fruits of which passion is the flower. Where the passion-bound soul sees only injustice, the good man who has conquered passion sees cause and effect, sees supreme justice. It is impossible for such a man to regard himself as treated unjustly, because he has ceased to see injustice. However passionately or however ignorantly men may act toward him, it cannot possibly cause him any pain, for he knows that whatever comes to him, it may be abuse and persecution, can only come as the effect of what he himself has formerly sent out. He therefore regards all things as good, rejoices in all things, loves his enemies, blesses them that curse him, regarding them as blind but beneficent instruments by which he is enabled to pay his moral debts to the great law. The supreme justice and the supreme love are one. Wow. Very interesting reading today. I like what it opened up with. Pain, grief, sorrow, and misery are fruits of which passion is the flower. So when we talk about passion here, um, we're talking about high emotional states like anger, infatuation, anxiety, fear, high excitement, things like that, right? Those are the passions we're talking about. And those are the things that lead to pain, that lead to grief, that lead to sorrow. Those selfish, self-centered, self-interested things. Those things that lead us down the road, which always ends with pain, which always ends with uncomfortable situations and circumstances. Passion is the flower. I love that. Now, the body of this is the interesting part. We're going to take this apart sentence by sentence. Where the passion-bound soul sees only injustice. So right off the bat, we're talking again about people that are driven by emotion, right? Driven by what makes them feel good or what's making them feel bad, what's making them feel whatever is going on in that moment. Those people usually only ever see injustice in the world. The good man, he who has conquered passion, someone who doesn't get who is not ran by their emotional state, who does not make decisions based on their emotional state, who does not judge the world through that emotional lens that I used to, that I no longer do, or I make an effort to not anymore. Sees cause and effect sees cause and effect, sees supreme justice. So when you're not making these emotional rash decisions, which was my life until I got into recovery and started living a spiritual way of life, right? Living a principled life. When you're not living that way, you can actually see and you have some comprehension, some understanding the law of justice, and that we reap what we sow, you can see all of the breadcrumbs coming together. You can see all of the dots connecting. You see cause and effect, James Allen says. You see supreme justice, absolute justice. It is impossible for such a man to regard himself as treated unjustly. I've gotten pretty good on these things, to be fair, because I've had to really take a look at what I would do that would bring these people into my life, or that would bring these circumstances in my life that I would find myself in not being treated very well, one way or another. And I'm able to see where I made the mistakes. I'm able to see where I made selfish, self-centered decisions, so I can make them differently in the future. It is impossible for such a man to regard himself as treated unjustly, the good man, because he has ceased to see injustice. What a thing to strive for there, right? Because he has ceased to see injustice. When you either believe in justice or you believe in injustice, one of the two. You don't believe in both. And when you believe in justice, and the supreme justice that we're talking about here especially, you'll see how everything lines up. You'll see how everything has a cause, and that there is an equal effect. It's just how it goes. I believe that. I absolutely believe that. However passionately or however ignorantly men may act toward him, it cannot possibly cause him any pain. For he knows that whatever comes to him, it may be abuse and persecution, can only come as the effect of what he himself has formerly sent out. So, if there's people in our lives, however passionately or however ignorantly men act toward him, if there's people in our lives, or we're in circumstances that place us in a position to be ridiculed, to be persecuted, to be insulted, to be harmed, we're involved with that almost every time. Like we're involved with that every time. It is impossible for him to call it. It cannot possibly cause him any pain, for he knows that whatever comes to him, it may be abuse and persecution, can only come as the effect of what he himself has formerly sent out. So, and this could be good stuff too. That's the weird thing. Like if you were living a good and righteous life, and then somebody doesn't like that, you're going to be getting persecution. So, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing that, but you have to understand that what you're doing, the way you're living, even though it's right and just, may offend people because they're not healthy. There's a lot of sick people out there. So it's not about you anymore, right? They can't cause you harm because you understand the whole line of thinking to approach that, right? You understand that there was choices you've made that's participated in this situation occurring in one way or another. So everything you experience today is the experience, or is the effect of previous causes and previous seeds you have sown. You're reaping your own harvest. He therefore regards all things as good, rejoices in all things, loves his enemies, blesses them that curse him, regarding them as blind but beneficent instruments by which he is enabled to pay his moral debts to the great law. It's an interesting concept to think about, because I won't say people are placed here to punish us by God by any means. I don't think that God of my understanding, that power, that source, that creator, that nature puts anything in my path to harm me intentionally. I believe I attract the people that into my life that will harm me. I believe I have a choice and a role to play in every single interaction and circumstances I am in. So I don't believe God sends us tests. I believe we test ourselves. When you understand that, therefore, the good man rejoices, regards all things as good. Everything that happens is good. Actually, and when you take that perspective, it can change your life. Just that alone changes your life. Regards all things as good, rejoices in all things, not all good things, not all bad things, not all things that he believes he deserves. Therefore, he rejoices in all things. No attachment to them. Loves his enemies. Unconditional love. Blesses them that curse him. These are big things. Taking the right actions for the right reasons rather than being someone who takes revenge, seeks retribution. Blesses that and that curse him, regarding them as blind. This is interesting. Regarding them as blind but beneficent instruments by which he is enabled to pay his moral debts to the great law. So he's saying people are serving God's will for me. I'm learning and I'm growing in my understanding of my previous actions. So every time I get put in a situation that we're talking about, it's the opportunity to learn and understand what I've done. It's the opportunity to learn and understand my part in things so I can avoid making the same mistakes going forward. And that's what the supreme law of justice is about. It's kind of a lot to digest, but it's true. Now it ends with this: the supreme justice and the supreme love are one. It's all that same energy. It's all that loving kindness. It's all of that spiritual laws, principles that we must follow. That exist regardless of whether or not we believe in them too. That's what I always love about this stuff. It's these spiritual truths, these spiritual laws, these spiritual values and virtues and principles and disciplines. They will always be the right ones. You know what I'm saying? There won't ever be a time where the truth is not the truth. Sorry. That's just how it goes. So, all right. Well, that'll bring us to the close for tonight. Thank y'all for joining me again. I'm looking forward to seeing where we get to tomorrow. This was a really good one. This was a really, really good one. It's the ultimate accountability for yourself. It's radical accountability and acceptance. So, great reading, great reminder. So, we will be back again tomorrow. So, until next time, thanks.